Hello, my friends. As we explore quantum body and more, of course, this is living in the light, but anyway, as we explore quantum body and more, I think a lot of you who have read the book or are reading the book realize that I've drawn a lot on Eastern wisdom traditions, including Vedanta and Kashmir Shaivism, to show the parallels between the wisdom traditions and some of the insights of the quantum pioneers, including Erwin Schrödinger and Max Planck, who were very drawn to and were big students of Vedanta and non-dual traditions, Advaita Vedanta and Kashmir Shaivism. Buddhism also has some of the same principles. And after my visit to Bhutan, I feel compelled to share every day, for now anyway, some insights from the teachings of the Buddha. So today, let me talk to you a little bit about the three Dharma Seals and a little bit about three very foundational principles in Buddhism, which may give you some insight into parallels of where science is going in exploring what is called fundamental reality, or the models that we use, the mathematical models that we use, including quantum physics, quantum mechanics. So, first to share with you the three Dharma Seals, or as they are very much related, they are also called the three refuges, three places of refuge, the three jewels in Buddhism. And these are fundamental guiding principles that form the core of the teachings of the Buddha. They serve as a foundation for cultivating mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom, ultimately leading to liberation from human suffering. So here's an example or explanation of each of these Dharma Seals. The first Dharma Seal: take refuge in the Buddha. This doesn't necessarily mean the Buddha as a person. In fact, Buddha does not apply as a term to a person. It means the awakened one. So here it means taking refuge in the insights of higher consciousness as they came through the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama. It acknowledges this first seal, the Buddha's awakening, as a beacon of guidance and testament to the possibility of achieving a similar state of awakening for all of us, for everyone. And it's happening right now. I think some awakening is happening in the world. So take refuge in the Buddha means take refuge in higher consciousness and the insights that come from the Eightfold Path, which I will also go over in the next few sessions. The second is take Dharma, take refuge in the Dharma. Here, the Dharma refers to deeper understanding of what we call reality, the path to liberation. And that also includes ethical principles that I outlined before as the divine emotions or divine attitudes: loving kindness, empathetic joy, compassion, and equanimity. But also leads, dharma also means leading a meaningful and purposeful life. And then the third Dharma Seal is take refuge in the Sangha. This refers to the community of practitioners and sadhaks or students of who have a regular spiritual practice. So taking refuge in the Sangha represents finding support and inspiration from each other on the path to enlightenment or awakening. This acknowledges the value of spiritual kinship and the importance of learning from and contributing to a community of like-minded individuals. As I mentioned before, I saw examples of this in Bhutan. I could not even imagine, the kind of conflict and trauma and killing that's happening in the rest of the world when I was in Bhutan, because I saw the embodiment of these principles in daily life and what is probably the most peaceful and happiest place on earth. Now, along with the three Dharma Seals, there are three very important foundational principles that come out of the teaching. And these foundational principles are also sometimes referred to as the Dharma Seals. The first foundational principle is that the relative is impermanent, and I'll explain that in a moment. The second foundational principle, or Dharma Seal in this case, is that the separate self does not exist. And the third principle here is nirvana is the ultimate reality. So let's go over each of these. First one, the relative is impermanent, which means anything that is an experience, anything that's an experience in the theater of space, time, and causality is time bound, impermanent, transient, ephemeral, and perishable. Anything. Look at anything around you, any object, any person, any situation, any perception, any thought, any feeling, any image, anything that appears on the screen of consciousness as this theater of space, time, and causality, including your own body, your own mind, in the way it is seen at this moment as a perceptual snapshot, it is impermanent. It follows the arrow of time. It is perishable, and it will at some point no longer appear as it appears now, or not appear at all as it appears now. So the relative is impermanent. Anything that has form is impermanent. Anything that is an object, a situation, a circumstance, an event. And this fear of impermanence, of course, creates a lot of anxiety, is one of the causes of suffering as well for most people. So let's just understand the principle. The relative is impermanent. That's it. Now, the second, which is very important, principle that is derived from these Dharma Seals is that the separate self does not exist. So when I look in my own meditation for a separate entity called Deepak Chopra, and as this name and this form, when I look for that, in all honesty, I cannot find any continuity to this identity called Deepak Chopra. It's just a random, selection of experiences and stories and relationships and meanings and contexts and encounters, selective, very arbitrary. Some I forgot, some I remember, some are in my subconscious mind, but nothing about this name and form is permanent. It's arbitrary, and also nothing about it is real. The name is provisional. I could have been called David, and the story is very selected, random associations, very provisional either. And then, of course, the body is continually changing, the mind is continually changing, and emotions are continually changing. So, an entity such as Deepak Chopra, with that name and this form, actually does not exist. Does not exist. I guess that also causes a lot of anxiety and is a cause for human suffering as well. The idea that you as a separate self do not exist. Your body is recycled earth, water, and air, goes through other bodies. Your ideas are shared ideas. Your feelings and emotions are not unique, and your personality is entangled with all other personalities. So this as a separate entity does not exist. Deepak, in name and form, is just an idea, a human construct, very easy to dispel. Very easy to dispel and very logical to dispel. And then we come to the third principle in the same three principles. The relativism impermanent, the separate self does not exist, and that is nirvana. Nirvana as the ultimate reality. So nirvana actually means quenching. It's the ultimate goal in the teachings of enlightenment as expressed by the Buddha, representing the complete liberation from suffering. It is a complex concept for Westerners particularly, and has been subject to many interpretations. Here are some very basic principles.